Welcome to the Players Ball Podcast for AT Aliens by AT Aliens. I'm your host, Alex the Great. I'm joined by my brother from another, MB, rocking the freshest of Falcons fits. That's looking sharp, man. That's looking sharp. So I know we got that, but we're gonna hold off on that for now. Um, actually, how was your week, man? How was your weekend? I know how part of your week went last week.
It was a it was a good weekend. I had Thursday and Friday off.
Mm,
For reasons we'll discuss later. Uh,
mm,
but in general, we're coming up on my wife's birthday week. Her birthday's on Wednesday, so we
mm,
took the opportunity this weekend to do a little bit of what she wanted to do. We also had
mm.
some obligations, a wedding festivity that we got to go to on Saturday. That was a lot of fun. And Sunday, we took a trip up to Athens and got to show the kids around the UGA campus. Got to find their aunt's name on the senior graduation plaque outside the student center and bookstore. Uh,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, so it was a good 4 day weekend. Spent a lot of hours in the car though, so I am ready not to drive for a little while.
I hear that. So Mandy, or is she Amanda then? What do they call her?
Oh man, it's cool.
No, what do your children call her?
Amanda.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Okay, for sure, for sure. Nothing wrong with it. No. She has a like everyone who graduates, or do you like buy a plaque? Is it like a yearbook type thing?
I actually
How'd that work?
don't know if it's paid for. I think every student who graduates, they have a plaque for each year, and it has all the
Mm.
seniors' names listed.
Oh, that's pretty dope.
Yeah,
That's
you
pretty dope.
when you visited and you were standing on the bridge looking into Sanford Stadium, it was
Hmm.
directly behind you.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't
just
go any further south than the bridge, but I saw it was a lot of stuff over there, like the student rec center. I mean, it's just, and we talked about that. It seemed like a real cool campus. You can really get some thick thighs riding a bike around that thing, man. I've seen some people riding bikes. It's just hills. It's only hills.
yeah, it's super hilly. The kids in that heat were not too happy, but
Yeah.
they survived. We survived. It was a good time.
Sarah, is Sarah looking to renew y'all's vows after the festivities?
No, but
She giddy?
that was our first experience. Probably will be our only experience with a Vietnamese wedding, and it was exciting and entertaining.
Yeah. I went to a wedding. John, you know John
Mm,
Dury,
mm.
Lebanese wedding, and it was like it was I don't know. It was a like not a spectacle seems like crazy, but like not it. It was like such an event. It was wonderful. I had a blast, right? But I had never seen or experienced anything like that with, all the flowers and, the intricacies of the ceremony. It was a blast, but it was definitely something out of like a fairy book, a fairy
Fairy
tale
tale.
book. Yeah, yeah, fairy tale. I don't need book, right? No, that's cool though, man. I was telling you, we had another soccer game. We're undefeated.
Woo.
They don't keep score at Charlotte's age. I do. They lost. but, but she got some kicks in. There was this kid out there this week that was getting a little rough with her. So I told her, I was like, hey Charlotte, if he bumps you again, you can knock him over. Right? Kick his ass, Seabass. And I growled at her. I said, "Arr!" She growled back. But she went out there, and her grandmother had given her a necklace to put around her wrist, and she literally just pulled on the necklace and dug her cleats into some dirt the rest of the game. So you know, didn't exactly go my way, but I did have a good time with our a couple of our brothers from the text group. We went over to Papa Dave's, Grandpa Dave's house on Sunday and watched a couple of games. Our team had already won, so I didn't, I wasn't super invested, but it was cool to see everybody. Everybody brought their kids. It was a good time. So yeah, it was a good weekend.
That's what's up.
I also saw Joker, uh Folie La Deux. Joker 2.
Hmm.
Terrible. Trash. I did not enjoy it. And the first one I actually did enjoy. I thought it was actually very well done. Character development is one of my great enjoyments in the cinema. This one was not good, man.
Is that the Jared Leto Joker, or is that?
No, this is Joaquin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't seen him.
Joaquin Phoenix. The I would say check it out. The not the new one. You don't have to look at that. But the first one, it won. I think it was a well-deserved Oscar. He won Best Actor, right? So the second one was not good. It went full musical. I love a good song. I don't think the plot was very good. The songs weren't very good. I mean, they were a lot of them were covers of popular songs, so I didn't think they did a good job, and they could have kept that. Enough about Joker and sports, or enough about Joker, more about sports. We have some shakeup at the top of the FBS, and I'm sure you want to discuss, man. New number one.
Oh yeah, it was a wild weekend in college football. Some are calling it the best weekend of college football in the last, 20 plus years. We had
Mm.
four top 10 teams go down, two of which to unranked opponents. So the day started out with Missouri at number 9 getting the brakes beat off them by Texas A&M. I don't remember the score. It wasn't much of a game. So day starts, Mizzou goes down. Georgia has an afternoon game. They get the dub. They take care of business against Auburn. And at the same time, simultaneously, Alabama is playing Vanderbilt and Michigan is playing Minnesota. Minnesota
The Gophers? I think it's the Gophers. Yeah.
multi-score victory over the reigning defending national champs. And then the Vanderbilt Commodores shock everybody, taking down Alabama. That was huge. The fans stormed the field, took the goalpost. They're auctioning off pieces of the goalpost, the end zone corner flags, game balls, game worn helmets, everything you can think of. They're trying to maximize the profits from this victory. It's huge. It's kind of ironic because earlier this season, Nick Saban, he's not the head coach of Alabama anymore, but he's still heavily associated with the program for obvious reasons. And he was quoted saying that basically Vanderbilt was the only team in the SEC that didn't have a home field advantage. So add that fuel to the fire. And then earlier in the week, coming off of a huge game, a lot of emotions, a lot of adrenaline, beating Georgia, all the pageantry that went on with that, having game day in town. I think Kellen DeBoer kind of saw the writing on the wall that he needed to bring his players back down to earth a little bit. So he was putting mouse traps all over the football facility just as symbolism that, Nick Saban used to call it rat poison, right? When you start reading the headlines and it starts poisoning the mind and it's a slow kill. Well, Kellen DeBoer was trying to feed off of that and trying to get his players to see that the upcoming game could be a mousetrap of sorts. And sure enough,
Trap game.
it
Yeah. Yeah.
was.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so probably the biggest victory in Vanderbilt history. A really disappointing one if you're a Bama fan. I think any other team fan, you know, likes to see it, right? um,
I mean, I like to see it, right? And I credit you for this information. I hadn't seen the meme myself, but um, I'm gonna call it girl math. So a bit of girl math that says Vanderbilt beat Alabama, Georgia State beat Vanderbilt. Georgia State is better than Alabama. So shout out to the Panthers. Huzzah. We got a good win this week as well.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it sure does make that Vanderbilt victory look better if you're a Georgia State Panther. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And then the nightcap, Tennessee goes down to Arkansas, another unranked conference foe. It was a big game. Tennessee, I think they were ranked number 4 in the country going into the game. High
Definitely
flying,
top five.
high powered offense, expected to put up a lot of points. That's what Josh Heupel offenses are known for, going fast and putting up a lot of points. And they got stymied. They did. I think they ended with 14 points. I think the final
Mm.
was 14-19 Arkansas. So shout outs to the Hogs, Pig Suey for shutting down that offense, giving
Sweet.
giving everybody else the blueprint. So the shakeup in the top 5, Ohio State's now number 1, Oregon's number 2. Who's number 3?
Texas number 1.
I'm
Ohio
sorry.
State 2, Oregon 3.
I'm sorry. I miss Texas. How could I miss the Longhorns?
Mm-hmm.
Four is Penn State, and Georgia comes in at number 5 with Alabama coming in at number 6. So
Alabama 7. Why wouldn't Miami, who's 6, jump Georgia? Seeing as they're still undefeated.
So the AP, and just like everything else, is it's the Associated Press. It's all media members that do the voting. So there is a good deal of bias in the polls. And I would say that the only thing that benefits Georgia in this case over Miami is Miami doesn't have a single ranked victory on their schedule. Georgia has one against Clemson, who is leading the ACC, and at the time, well, still a top 10 team in Alabama. Was a rather close game. They had the lead in the fourth quarter against that team. So I think it is bias. It doesn't always make a whole lot of sense. Miami probably should be ahead of Georgia just on pure record basis. But typically all those things tend to hash themselves out by the end of the year because of the opponents and the games that will come. I believe this coming weekend we have a big one in Ohio State versus Oregon. So that's coming up. And then in 2 weeks, you have Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, Texas back to back, the 3:30 game and the 7:30 game. So that's going to be a doubleheader of, all-time double headers.
Yeah. So I'm looking at I was looking at the FBS rankings. They are the same as AP, at least as far as the top 7 are concerned. It does look like Miami did jump up 2 spots, so they're on the come of sorts. Yeah. So I mean, Georgia did put down a dominant performance on what is
Auburn,
it? Auburn.
the
Yeah.
Deep
So
South's oldest rivalry is what that game's called.
yeah, I saw it. Okay, that's more than just an advertising thing. It's an official name for it.
Yeah, just Georgia Tech is clean old-fashioned hate. You got the world's greatest outdoor cocktail party in Georgia,
Florida.
Florida, and then you got the Deep South's oldest rivalry in Georgia, Auburn.
Hmm. Man, it's good to see that kind of parity, right? Because it's been just the same players all year, every year in college football. Seems like it's a new year for sure, and having a 12-team playoff is going to be something that it's going to be pretty enjoyable because we'll see a lot of new faces. I mean, it's cool to see the dogs, and obviously, I would like for them to win. Until Georgia State is good enough to where, I mean, obviously we're better than Alabama, but right now we're not ranked in the top 25, so we won't be in the playoff as it stands. We also have a loss, so wishful thinking for them to jump within the next year or two till they get Gravy on Mac on on the roster. But we'll see how it shakes out, man. Okay. All right. I mean, college football is super interesting. I'm glad that I thank you for it for driving me to watch a little bit more. You between you and Deion Sanders, man, I'm up 300% on college football games watched this year versus last year. So that's cool. Atlanta.
United.
Wow. Wow. All right. So he's off the bus. Nah, they won over the weekend. We won't have to talk about them a lot, but their playoff hopes are still alive. I think you can explain that for the people, man. You want to break that down for us?
Yeah, so decision day is coming up. That's the last day in soccer. All the teams play. They try to kick off all the games at the same time so no one can sit there and know their fate. They have to play to the final whistle to find out whether or not they're in or out if they're on the fringe. And
Super dope. Didn't know that.
Atlanta United finds itself on the fringe, right? They got a big win. They had 2 games last week. They lost one. They won the second. If they had won the first one, their odds of making it in were drastically improved. They didn't get it done. So now they have to kind of uh, play, win, and pray because a win will not get them in on their own. They need two
Mm.
of three other things to happen. They need a loss from CF Montreal or a loss from DC United or a loss or draw from Philadelphia Union. And the wild thing about it all, because I feel like needing 66% of those outcomes to happen, plus an Atlanta United win is a pretty steep ask. But if all three of those things happen, plus the Atlanta United victory, they'll actually host a wild card playoff game in the bins on October 22nd. So we'll just have to wait and see if they can get it done on decision day and then, see what happens with the rest of those three teams.
So I saw that would put them into a play-in, right? So it would be a one-game play-in, almost like the NBA, or I guess exactly like the NBA.
Yeah,
Well, no, not quite. The play-in is still a series in the NBA, but
it's just a one game winner takes all.
okay. So the Braves moving quickly because shout out Atlanta United. We're hoping for y'all. We'd love to root you guys on in a home playing series. So playing game, on the way to a series. Stranger things have happened. The future is bright now that Carlos Bocanegra's gone. So we'll see what semblance of a team they can make up next year, and pulling for the home team. And by that time, maybe we can get this man to give a passionate United, but we won't try it again now. All right, Braves. Playoffs came and went pretty quick, man.
In a blink of an eye.
Yeah, man. So I watched all of basically the first game, just holding out hope that once Michael King, I know it's King, but I think Michael King is his name. Once he was relieved, and nope. Their reliever came in and struck out another two batters. And their closer, he let off some hits, but you know, he made it. So as dramatic as our entry into the playoffs was, the complete opposite was our appearance, right? It was very good. Literally in the blink of an eye, it was all over. And now we have to suffer through the Mets first, the Phillies. If you gun to your head, bad analogy, we're not gonna use guns. Um, I take one of your children.
Worst analogy, no.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mets or Phillies. Who do you want to who would you dislike more or dislike less winning the series, moving on?
So I think in a perfect world, the Phillies lose and get
Mhm.
a little taste of their own medicine with all that smack they were talking the last 2 years, because this is the first year that they've sat at home while everyone else has played and had to deal with the off days, right? And
Right.
then going into the World Series, the Mets blow it in some dramatic fashion, just like the Mets tend to do. Like that's the perfect world, right? The
You
Philly
want them to make the World Series and lose?
or
The Mets?
or
Because they
the
would have to face the Dodgers or Padres, NLCS.
I mean, I would be okay with them losing the World Series because Mets met, but I'd rather them not make it there, to be honest. But I do in this series. I am kind of rooting for the Mets, just because it would be some poetic justice for the Phillies to secure the
Mhm.
division, get the bye, and then flame out. Uh,
Yeah.
the Dodgers, um, San Diego series is really heated up. I don't know if you saw any of the stuff from last
Yeah, I
night.
did.
I will say the Braves ran into one of the hotter teams in baseball in the San Diego Padres. So kudos to them, right? Like they played fantastic. Their pitching did very well. We started a pitcher in game one that hadn't started a game the entire season. So shame on us. Um, Shame on you, actually, for
Me?
I'm gonna blame you for this, but if you
I
recall,
wasn't there, and I had broken the streak, so
uh,
get it off, but,
so here we go. Final series of the season, right? Doubleheader against the Mets,
Oh, okay.
and
I know
we're
where you're going.
it looks like the Mets are gonna get it late in game one, and I get a text message, and what does it say? It says it would be kind of full circle if in game two someone gets hurt.
Mhm.
And sure enough, Chris Sale out. Out for the wild card round.
If anyone, the most important piece we had left, and he went down, and, I mean, that has been our season. I didn't make that up, right?
No, for
I might have
sure.
been the first to say it, I don't know. I definitely was the first to say it. I
You
didn't
put
get that
it
on the radio at
into
all,
the
you know?
universe. You put it out there. And the
I
cosmos
did,
answered.
I did.
But yeah,
You think this is, go ahead,
we
go ahead.
started AJ Smith Shawver. Like I said, he hadn't started a game all year. He didn't last, but what, an inning, two. So
Inning in the third.
the bullpen pitched fairly well, right? It was just the lack of offense, which has been kind of the story of this team with the ebbs and flows. We'll have a breakout game where we score 15 runs and then go on a 3-week sabbatical where we score two.
Right.
Um, so it was a microcosm of the season. Max Fried did pitch in game two, and it was a very rocky night for him. He got hit by a comeback ball in the first, and he said
Yeah.
it started to bother him in the second. I think he only lasted 1 2/3 or two.
I thought it was, two and a third because he got in the second inning, he got out of, bases loaded. The third, he got into it again, or am I confused now? Was he in
The
the
first he
first
was,
inning?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, he did not make it out of the second inning. Then. So yeah, it's probably 1 2/3.
yeah. He may
Can't
have,
expect to get out of it cleanly if you load the bases twice.
right. But we did score some runs. We did make game 2 interesting. Michael Harris hit a 2-run home run in the 7th, I think, to bring the game within 1 run, and we just couldn't close it out. We left a lot of men on base that game, so a lot of opportunities were left on base. But, you know, it's over. What you gonna do?
Shout out Money Mike, because even in the first game, he got on base a lot. So I hope he can carry that in the next season. And it's a long off season. Ideally, everyone gets healthy. There is something else I wanted to ask you about the off season. Max Fried, is he coming or going?
So I read something today that said Alex Anthopoulos would like to bring back Max Fried. I don't know how true that is. I don't have an inside source, but I do find it interesting because we don't typically get much from the GM when it comes to our
Yeah.
stars, but I don't think he's back. If I was betting, I would bet on him not returning. And I don't know where he lands, but financially, we're one of the higher payrolls in baseball. You know, this franchise is owned by a corporation. They do not like to spend money. They are very frugal,
Yeah.
and I just have a hard time seeing them bring him back, especially when you have the prospects of Spencer Strider coming back, Chris Sale, uh, Ronaldo Lopez. Those three
Schellenbach.
are top line starters, and then the emergence of Spencer Schwellenbach
Hmm.
as a 4. So I don't know. It's hard to see it in the future. The other big question mark is Charlie Morton. He has a decision to make whether he even wants to come back or if he's going to retire. I hope he retires. Uh, he's been a
Is he
fantastic.
signed?
I don't believe so. I think there's an option. I believe there's a club option, but he has to decide whether or not he's going to play or not. I mean, he's 40 plus. He did have a rocky year this year. This stuff is not as good as it used to be. So,
Can you imagine being 40 years old and making $20 million on a 1 year contract? It is a 1 year contract that he signed for this season. 20 M's, M's on M's on M's at 40 years old. Man,
yeah.
to be a professional athlete.
He wasn't
I mean, what they do is very special. So,
he wasn't 40, but I saw a clip. Cam Newton does a lot of podcast appearances. He has his own
mhm.
show. But someone was asking him about the money, and he was basically saying that uh, he was breaking down his contracts and like how much the checks were. But he said when he was making about $750,000 a game, like every game that was depositing in his account, like that's when he really felt like he had done something.
Yeah, not legit. Like, money isn't everything, right? And it'll definitely get you in a lot of trouble. But when you make a certain level of money, there are things afforded to you that are not there otherwise. It makes it easier for sure. It just doesn't make it, your life is not without problems because you have money. But if you do have money, you can pay you can pay for some of those problems to go away. There was a Eminem verse on his or a bar, not a full verse on his last album. He's like they say because I'm rich I ain't got problems. The elevator in my house is broke.
Uh,
I love that bar, man.
that's a definition
First
of
world
first
first
world
world problems.
problems.
Yeah, man. Yeah, nah, that I mean I'm hopeful for the Braves. As far as Max, circling back a little bit. I might have read the same article, right? That this is the first instance, right? We've lost a major piece over the last 2 years, with it being Dansby last year and Freddie the year before. Feels destined for us to lose one this year, and the way that Max Fried, the way his contract discussions went, it's very reminiscent of both of those. But I did see that article that said that we want him to stay. He's not the number one pitcher that's going to be on the market this year. So I mean, but a lot of people could use him. He's still one of the best pitchers in the league. We'll see what happens. If that was your last game, Max, wish it would have been better, but much success to you, my brother. We don't need you anymore. No, it's just I love to have you though. Take a hometown discount. I know you're listening. Everyone listens to our pod, so
He's from the West
put on that
Coast.
hometown. Yeah, but he's a Brave.
He's gonna end up with one of those
He's got a new home now.
goofy Dodgers contracts where they give him $2 in a bag of chips, and then they push all of his $1 billion to retirement.
It's fitting. Like some of my favorite Braves for the longest time, right? Not just Freddie, like Rafael Furcal. You remember Rafi?
Yeah.
And I didn't hate the Dodgers at that time because they weren't really a rival, right?
Oh, the Dodgers are an old school rival, but it goes back to
They are.
when.
This is like the Giants' time, right? They weren't as good, not nearly as good as they are now.
Yeah, the Braves Dodgers rivalry goes back to when they were actually in the same division in the 90s. So that's what I'm referring to. Like, it is a long-standing rivalry that took a break, and then it's heated back up in the last 5-10 years as both teams have been good and seen each other multiple times in the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely a heat up situation. Because who would you say our rival was in the 90s? I only think there's
The
one correct answer.
Yankees.
The Yankees.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Them damn Yankees.
but them damn Yankees, they getting their heads, well, not quite whipped, but it's 4-1 right now.
Oh, are you a Royals fan? I know you.
I had a hat once upon a time. I got a lot of family in KC, so I'll root for them. Yeah, I'm gonna say yes.
Okay.
I don't know where that hat is, and the Chiefs did get over on us, so I'm a little upset because I had my grandma was talking about. Oh yeah, I watch everything that Patty Mahomes does. I said, Granny, get out of here. Yeah, yeah. You calling me about the Falcons game? She said, did you go? I said, yeah, I was there. Oh yeah, well, Patrick Mahomes. All right. I like him. Don't make me change that my stance.
Don't let me
Oh yeah,
go in on you, Granny.
yeah, man, fire you up, Granny. But definitely against the Yankees. Go Royals. I always root for them to lose. Rafael Furcal. The other one that comes to mind is Alex Wood. I thought he was going to be an up and coming, great starter for the Braves, and we let him go. And he went out there. He did some good things for them for a while. I don't know where he is now. That was many moons ago, so he might be retired. But
yeah, you got
I was a big fan of Alex Wood.
Jason Hayward in more recent years.
Jason Hayward.
You got Freddie Freeman, right? Like there's a pretty decent line of former Braves that have turned Dodgers. Yeah.
Yeah, if it's not the Dodgers, it's Oakland, right? Just player swap. We gotta find a new team to deal with, preferably an AL team, but stick with Oakland. Well, they're not Oakland anymore. They played their last game there. Where are they going?
They're gonna be in Las Vegas, but I think in the meantime, because they have to build a stadium, right? I think they're gonna play out of Sacramento. If I know they played some, or they either played some this year in Sacktown, or they're going to play some in Sacktown until their stadium in Las Vegas is built.
Their last game, I don't know, maybe mid-season they played there. Their last game was in Oakland because there were people out there with the signs like, "You will be missed" with the Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's pretty dirty.
Go Braves, Yeah, the way that they did them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
politics,
Oakland's
man.
abandoned now, man. Mhm. I never wanna live in California. I don't wanna get too far off topic, but that place seems like a dumpster fire, bro,
I was born there,
politically
man.
and or otherwise. And you don't live there now, do you? Your
No.
parents made the decision to exit stage left.
Yeah, no, but as a kid, I always thought I was gonna move back there. You know, me and Theo share that. Uh, but I grew out of it. He has not.
He might have. Nah, I think if given the opportunity, he'll still go back for sure.
Oh yeah, he's still a big time LA everything fan.
Nah, he's a fan of that team there. They got their first win over the
Oh
weekend.
yeah, the Jags. But
Mhm.
he's a Lakers fan. He's a Dodgers fan. He pulled
Yeah.
for the Raiders. I don't know if he
And the Niners when
cares.
they played the Falcons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if he cares for the Rams now that they're back in LA. But anyways,
Yeah.
he is a Falcons hater,
Um, he is a Falcons hater for sure. Yeah.
and I'm loving every
He'll
minute of
say
it.
wild stuff about yeah. I got the opportunity to talk some trash to Carlos in person yesterday, so that felt nice, right? Throw that Eagles trash all in his face, like y'all trash, you suck. I hate your shoes. His shoes were pretty. He had these these yellow and black Pumas, but they weren't green. He said he wore his Eagles color Pumas, I guess the week before or something. I don't remember. They were on a buy. I think that's what he said. And he didn't wear the green ones, but he had some green ones too. I was like, well, I would have tried to scuff those if you had brought them in here. Those bums. We have clearly transitioned to the NFL, and what a time was had last Thursday, my brother.
I was about to say before we dive into all that, but what a time it is to be a Falcons fan that we can actually stand up to those fellows and
Rise up.
and say it with some confidence, right? Because our team
Yeah,
is performing. It's not always pretty, but they
no,
are
it's
out
not.
there competing and they are doing what they haven't been able to do in recent years, and that is close out games and get the W instead of throw them
I
away.
actually think there's still a lot of room for improvement, right? That's exciting for me because we have been winning. We have a winning record, first time in a long time, right? So to have the opportunity to still grow, to be better after a 509-yard game, that's exciting stuff, man. So we went to a tailgate. Shout out Mr. Ed for the tailgate invite. And this was the fanciest tailgate that I have ever been to, but I ate it up. I loved it. You called it bougie. And you just wanted some dogs and burgers, right? But the menu was crazy from the beef tartare to the lobster tails, oysters on the half shell. There are two different types of oysters.
No, I did not.
I took a picture of the menu. Yeah, they were from two different locations and prepared differently. I think one was steamed and one was they weren't char grilled, but one of them was like not fried but grilled, like a Whopper.
Flame grilled.
No, like a Big Mac, skillet grilled. I don't know, man. But they were off the chain, man. That food was good. The wine was pouring. Had me a very strong what's the one with the tomatoes, pickles, and olives sometimes.
Oh, a Bloody Mary.
Vodka, yeah, the vodka, Bloody Mary. Um, I gave Brittany my I came back. I was like, man, why do I feel like this? Like the next day, I was tired. I wasn't like hungover, but I was definitely a couple steps back. Uh, I ran down the drinks. I didn't have that many, but all of them were different. I went from I went from vodka to wine to a shot of tequila before we left the tailgate. Right, had a beer inside, then back to tequila. And I'll tell you, we'll hold it for the end. But my walk to the car, was an exciting one. So,
Oh,
what's your impression of the tailgate? And then get the people your game experience. Go off, King.
oh yeah. So it started off a little shaky. Man, it took me 2.5 hours to get down to the stadium.
All
So
right.
you can imagine, I was ready to get there. It was a pretty short walk. I got gouged for parking as one does, but
You did.
it was a convenient parking location, easy to get in. It was a little harder to get out than I had anticipated, but anyways, it was fun. Got there. This is the first time I've actually seen the Home Depot backyard in full swing, game day swing. It's a cool
Mm,
spot. I definitely see what they were going for. And I really think, as this team grows, if they continue to do the things that they've done the last couple weeks, continue to build and win.
one thing on that. It pale what we saw on Thursday pales in comparison to what it's like on a Sunday, right? Like, because when you got there, it was you could locate me super easy. I'm
Yeah.
just standing in the grass waving. Not that does not exist on a Sunday. It's real crazy. And what's disappointing that I found out is that Mr. Ed told me that come not maybe not next year, but the year after that is gone. They're gonna build something there to make sure that there's a new moneymaker for the World Cup.
Mm,
So
gotcha.
we got to get our Home Depot backyard experience in now because it won't be there very long.
Yeah, so I was gonna say it would be cool to see that place absolutely rocking because it's a nice
Hmm.
green space. It's got cool amenities right there at the stadium. Great location to tailgate and party pregame. But if they're gonna turn it into something else for the World Cup, then it'll be interesting to see where all those guys go because the Gulch, the historic Gulch, that's where the Falcons tailgaters tailgated for years. That's turning into Centennial Yard. So um,
Hmm.
it'll be interesting. I mean, I know at least in our city, tailgating is not what it is for college, right? There isn't the same level of um, pageantry, excitement, pure number of people. I know in some cities, at least in the Northeast, they tend to throw some pretty big tailgates. At least that's what it looks like from an outsider's perspective. And I've never experienced anything quite like that here in the South for the Falcons. But I do think this city, it's one where if you put a product on the field that everyone can rally around, like if you build it, they will come, right? The old
Yeah,
adage,
straight up.
and that is 100% the case for Atlanta.
Yeah, I think like because of the loss of the Gulch, the Home Depot backyard really blew up. There are some other areas now. I think V103 on Thursday opened their new location right off of Marietta Street. Um, so I don't know where they're gonna go. They're gonna have to go out, but the Gulch was always a huge area. I've tailgated there before, and that's a massive. I was actually on a school bus, La Chiva. Um, we went. That was a wild tailgate too, because we're halfway through the second quarter of the game because everybody got tickets too. Most people got tickets. It's like 10 of us in a row, and like 8 of the 10 are asleep. And I took the picture, and someone's posing with one of the sleep people. So we just got down there and just went, super crazy. But to lose the Home Depot backyard that soon, it hasn't been that long. It's gonna be like, kind of sad. You saw the Signia. I want to spend some pre and post game there. That hotel looks like it's crazy. Yeah, they call that area, that balcony area, the nest. That's the second nest. I had the first nest that we were talking about. I had it right. I was thinking historical nest. The new nest is different.
Yeah. But yeah, that was, I say, bougie. That was bougie, fancy, whatever you want to call it. Tailgate.
Yeah.
Food was absolutely phenomenal. You alluded to some lobster, steak, caviar.
Mm.
I mean,
Caviar. Yeah.
eating like kings. Uh,
Straight up.
I only had a single lobster tail, but what'd you make it? 3, 4?
No, 2 lobster tails. I did have 2 steaks. I had much more of the they did have, crab cakes with a remoulade sauce as well. So I had a good bit of everything, but I tried to spread it out. There was this big lobster tail left towards the end, and, at that point, they had invited, like, some other tailgaters to come over and get a plate, right? They didn't want anything to go to waste, but, being the cordial guy that I am, I released that lobster tail, and, it was a damn Bucs fan, so I should've just ate it, but I could have eaten 4. They were very good, man, and didn't need anything. Crack that shell off, and it's lights out, baby.
Yeah,
No, the tailgate was fire. We walk in. Did you hang your poster yet?
I did not. It's actually right here. I don't
Yeah,
have a. I don't know where I'm gonna put it, but I'll put it up.
I don't know yet either.
But yeah, we walk in. The Matt Ryan Ring of Honor festivities were going on, so they were giving out posters at the entry to honor Matt Ryan and his induction into the Ring of Honor. Got a couple uh, pictures of Matty and some of his statistics. He is the all-time leader for the Falcons in passing yards and completion percentage and fourth quarter victories. Like just about every QB statistic you can think of,
Yeah.
Matt Ryan owns. Although, we'll get to the game, and it looks like someone might be on the hunt for a few of those. I don't know
Mhm.
if he's going to have the longevity, but he's at least broken one previously held franchise record held by Matt Ryan. But yeah, we got the posters, get to the seats. They got the LED wristbands going with the music.
Yeah.
Look around the stadium. It's legit. Definitely.
That's one of the things that I told we were talking beforehand about wanting to see the broadcast on Prime, because that's one of the things that both Brittany and I talked to my father-in-law about it, and they were saying like, "Oh man, what were those lights in the crowd?
Yeah.
That was awesome." I was like, "Yeah, nah, it was fire." To watch it happen on your wrist, that's a nice technological feat. Like it's not like building a skyscraper out of drones. I'll show you this video that I saw the other day in China. It's crazy what they did, but to have 70,000, 80,000 LED bracelets kind of alternating colors and bumping to the beat, was dope.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. Yeah.
Not to get sideways, but have you seen the reel out there? It's like some guys driving down through downtown Atlanta and they're showing out in the sky. They're like, "What's that?" And it's a bunch of lights from drones, and all of a sudden they morph and they're like, "Oh, it's Steve Harvey." Steve Harvey face made out of lights with drones.
That's not real. Is that real?
Oh yeah, I'll have to find
Yeah.
it. We'll put it down in the description for those that want to check it out. Definitely in Atlanta.
Oh no, I gotta go find that, man. It's the Family Feud himself lit up in the air.
Yes, sir.
I bet you it took, 50,000 drones to make the mustache alone. Dang, that's crazy. I can't believe I haven't seen that. I gotta look that up.
But yeah, to get back on track, the wristband LED technology is pretty dope. I think they actually first brought that out in the Super Bowl a couple years ago when it was in LA. That was the Dr. Dre, Snoop, and Fat 50 halftime show.
Husky.
Husky 50 Cent. It was the one he was getting a lot of slack for.
Yeah, no, that's trying to eat 50 alive.
Yeah. But yeah, the experience as a whole was dope. I was thinking about like all the intermission festivities, right? We had the red panda. Won't go won't go too deep into that. Do better.
Not their best work.
Do better, marketing team. Halftime, right? You had the Ring of Honor celebration, which I'm sure we'll talk about here in a minute. But then going into the fourth quarter, man, you got young Jeezy coming out and doing a little performance. So absolutely killer.
Jock,
Young
young
Jock,
Jock.
my bad. One of the
Meet
youngs.
me in the
Yeah.
trap. It's going down. Meet me in the mall. Yeah.
Young
I
Jock
smoked that.
came out. But yeah,
Hmm.
it was dope. I will say I asked you at some point during the game, I was like, it looks like a lot of seats are empty. And I kind of understand what they were talking about for years on the radio now, where they're saying, you know, the fans are in the stadium. They're just in the club or on the
Hmm.
terrace, you know, at the many amenities, bars. You have that skywalk, or I don't know what they call it, but where it looks over the
Yeah.
city
Skybridge.
that people will stand. So I will say, I don't know what you do if you're a stadium manager and you're trying to think about how you can improve the home field advantage for the
Hmm.
Falcons, because I definitely think that optically it is a negative to see that many seats empty, even if the fans are in the stands, right, or in the stadium.
Yeah.
You want butts and seats. You want loud noise. You want all that. And the game, it was fantastic, right? It was a back and forth affair. Uh, the offense was clicking on all cylinders. I think in the game we doubled our entire season touchdown statistic
Hmm.
in one game. And it was back and forth, and late in the game in the fourth quarter it looked like we might fumble this one away, and a lot of fans piled out of the stadium, and
Exit stage right.
boy did they miss an exciting finish. And uh you said it was Big Tigger doing the announcements.
Yeah, yeah. Big
uh
Tigger's the MC.
yeah, he made sure to call those fans out when the game was over.
He did. He did. I mean, and for all intents and purposes, in years past, the Falcons have lost those games, right? Like Kurt threw a very untimely interception minutes to go, but the defense bowled up. Not only did and they he threw an interception in our territory, right? The defense bowled up. They got a sack, pushed them out of field goal range, and we ended up taking the punt. So I don't know. I think the punt was a touchback, but we took it 75 yards to the crib. And what a final 40 yards it was with Cordero Hodge catching that ball. And at this point, right, you said everyone had exited. So basically, our whole row is like me, you, and like people, they're like 15 seats down. So we got to run. We running left and right, screaming when he scores that touchdown. I saw my pastors out there. You know, shout out Victory ATL. They seemed like they were having a good time watching some football. You know, having some good community, but they stayed. It was us, them, and then there was some obviously the season ticket holder. Can't think of my man's name, but I talk to him every game. And then the ones in front of us, they usually sell their tickets, but they were there that game. So there were a couple of people that stuck around, and what a show that they put on for the end to send us to overtime, and then in overtime to get that coup sent us to overtime after winning the game the week before, and then to get that overtime touchdown to Kadero Hodge was. I mean, it was one of the best games I have seen in person in the Benz ever.
Oh yeah, it was exciting. You know, it was past 12 o'clock when I was walking to my car, and I can't wait to hear your experience.
Yeah.
Mine was rather uneventful. You know, I got to my car, no problem. You know, definitely had to deal with a little bit of traffic getting out of the lot and up to 75 so I could head north. Um, but I got home like 1:30 a.m. ish, and
Yeah.
I couldn't go to sleep. Like I was
Just still
still,
amped.
yeah, still adrenaline pumping. Uh,
Uh,
Unfortunately, I mean, I told y'all I took the day off. Friday, I knew it was gonna be late night, so I wasn't about
mm.
to try and get up and go to work. But man, still got me up out of bed at like 8 o'clock. Like let, let me sleep in, please.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So, we're leaving the stadium. My phone has died, because I realized when we were trying to take pictures with the Michael Vick bobblehead. We'll post those somewhere. Um, but from there, I can't rent a scooter. So what I do is I park down by Centennial and I rent a Lime scooter through Uber, and I ride up. And I just like being on scooters. That's just a thing now, right? Me and Brittany always ride them up. Generally, we'll walk back, but I'm solo, so I'm like, all right, well, I'm not gonna walk. We'll go ahead and ride back. Quick little $3 ride. But my phone's dead, so I can't book anything. So I'm putting it right. The crowd around me is crazy. There's ATL whole chants going on. Um, and as you're walking by State Farm Arena, it's probably 4 or 5, street vendors, what we call them hustlers, out there selling, everything from Mexican hot dogs, which I bought. It's a hot dog wrapped in bacon, mayonnaise, mustard, ketchup, and like the burnt onions from the skillets. Oh, took me back to Guadalajara. It was off the chain. I did have one of those, and then there's this guy, and there's these people. I guess I thought he had a deal going, right? Because he had a longer line. It's like 3 or 4 people waiting, and with 4 vendors all selling basically the same thing, except for the Mexican hot dogs. There's only one person doing that. Um, oh, what's he got? My man had fireball shots. The first one I walked up to, he had the fireball shots. He's like, "Yeah, I'm doing 1 for 5." I was like, do 2 for 6." He's like, "Nah, I can't do it." I was like, "All right, neither can I." And I keep walking, right? It's probably 100 feet between him and the next vendor. First guy I see has a giant albino python just walking through the street like this. I said, "Okay, and where did I just disappear to? Is this Vegas?" The next one I hadn't seen in Vegas, but this is right behind the pythons, which seems like it was a little too close. This man had a ringtail lemur and an African gray parrot on his shoulders. Monkey was jumping from his hat to his shoulder. The bird was really still and calm, but the monkey was going crazy. And I don't know if it was the presence of the snake or what, but there was a group of like 5 or 6 of us who were like, "Oh man, that's a monkey and a parrot. That snake's gonna eat him." Right? I go another 10 feet and I see another, proprietor of of Fireball. And I asked him the same deal. He said, "I won't do 2 for 6, but I do 3 for 10." I said, "All right, run it." That was like my fifth different alcohol on the day. I was sober when I drove. Disclaimer.
Sure.
Right. But those 3 fireball shots did go down. Literally, I was like, so from the bins, you get down to the corner and there's parking. You got the big sign with the clock. It's parking, parking, parking. Centennial on this side, and the new place now is Margaritaville. Margaritaville was a bit slower, but they have an outdoor bar and the seats were taken up, so they had some good music going. So people were stopping there. You walk across the street from there to the Ferris wheel. Another person had music going, hot dogs, somebody selling homemade drinks. They have these pouches now, these slushies that people will make, and they'll say like, "Oh, I got my Patron slushies or my Grey Goose slushies." Like, Pepe Lopez in that damn pouch
That is the bottle that
with
just
some
says
Hawaiian
vodka.
punch. Yeah. Like it's holding up the shelf. The shelf sitting on that bottle. Right. But I was all the way past the Waffle House before, all the vendors and the people finally settled down. But at that point, I'm basically at the whip. So yeah, man, it was quite an eventful walk. A lot of happy people, man. It was good to see how happy everyone was after that Falcons win.
I
I
wonder.
definitely think the city's revitalized from a football perspective.
I wonder if, like, from a street vendor perspective, like, do you even stand out there if it's a loss? Like, or you just pack
Oh
it
yeah,
up and you're just like, oh, they're not gonna be having it. They just lost. Or is it the opposite? Oh, they're gonna drink away their sorrows. It's a win-win.
yeah. So, you might go from you're gonna keep your liquor on the table, right? And I don't even know, like, how are these people permitted to do that?
They're
The
not.
city of Atlanta is just it's a wild wild west when it comes to street vendors now, which make you money. I ain't gonna hate on that. But there'll be some people out there who will have both teams apparel or like a chain with I don't know what the Bucks thing is. It wasn't like a hat. They had hats, like fitted hats and snapbacks for the Bucks. But the new thing for us, we got the rise up chains. Like it look like they're blinking, and then
Yeah.
a big Falcon chain. They had some Buck stuff out there. The Saints always have a vendor that'll come out. Generally, they'll have Saints and Falcon stuff. But if we lose or win, thank goodness we won. But if we lose or win, both both teams are gonna be had the opportunity to spend some money on the streets of Atlanta.
Yeah, man. That's quite the experience. Now, there was not anything remotely close to that with my walk
You
back.
didn't see any monkeys, birds, or snakes?
No. There was one person outside the World Congress Center that had a little table set up that was selling hats that said
Mm,
ATL, and then oh, he had one for the Bucks. I don't. It might have said Bucks. It was simple. It was
yeah,
like clearly non-licensed, not even remotely trying to infringe on any copyright. So it was
yeah.
well within the binds of the law. I don't know. Doubtful he was permitted to be there, but other than that, he seemed like pretty legitimate street
Yeah,
vendor.
if there is such a thing.
Hey man,
Right? I ain't mad at it. Atlanta, I think the reason that the city is how it is because everybody's out here. You have the opportunity to get to some money, right? You got a little know-how and and some gumption. You can make a couple dollars out here for sure. So shout out to the Falcons and the street vendors and the Mexican hot dog man who wasn't Mexican, right? It wasn't an appropriation. Uh, it looked authentic. If I would have seen a white guy or a black guy selling Mexican hot dogs, I might have questioned like, where'd you get this idea from? He was a Mexican fellow. I actually spoke to him in Spanish. he, he didn't speak funny English, but that sold me on it. I was like, oh hell yeah, sign me up. And it hit. It hit home. So
uh, do you know
shout out
the
to the Falcons.
do you know the comedian Chris D'Elia?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know
Yeah,
Chris.
he's doing
Is
that
it
interview.
Ilya? Yeah, yeah.
He's doing that interview, and he's like, Atlanta's the only city in the world where you realize how many black people there are.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think he's making any kind of like racial statement. I think he's talking about just because
No,
of what you're saying is like they're out here thriving.
it's a chocolate city.
Right.
100%.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. Atlanta's a chocolate city. There's not a whole lot of them. I had a conversation with somebody last week about Boston. Right, I have been to Boston. Cool city. No black people. Not a single black in Boston. I was one of like five, and I came with two. Right.
that was
But Atlanta is not like that.
that was kind of the joke when we went out to Denver, right? Like,
No blacks. Yeah, dog. You know.
uh,
So that's why Atlanta is it's a rare gem, right? You have some cities where it's a big mix, like the New Yorks, but like Atlanta, Houston, Chicago, chocolate cities. Atlanta, and I think Atlanta's leading the way, and I don't think it's close.
And I think the thing that really stands out, it is a melting pot of a city, but there are opportunities and people are thriving of all nationalities
Yeah.
in Atlanta. There's not one dominant, you know, in terms of success and excellence.
Everyone can come here and make money, right? But there are a lot of black people here that are affluent, making money. I was talking to Brenton a couple weeks ago. He was like, "Yeah, man, why wouldn't we think that there would be?" We were talking about I don't want to plug them yet. Nah, Atlanta blockchain collective. I can't think of what the C is. It was ABC, and he was like, "Why wouldn't we think there would be, a an emerging cryptocurrency community in Atlanta? This is Wakanda." Is what he. I was like, "Hell yeah, this is fucking Wakanda." Excuse my language. I'm excited about it, right? But nah, I love this city, man. This is my home. And I'm gonna start making some money out there too. Maybe not as a street vendor, but as a sports media, we're gonna get some media passes in a minute, man.
Yeah.
Be out here making that bread with the teams. Give us a press box, baby.
Well, there was another person that declared Atlanta his home on Thursday
Mm,
night, Mr. Matty Ice. We talked about it a little bit, right? He was inducted into
yeah.
the Atlanta Ring of Honor. Definitely deserved. Uh, Great short ceremony, right? He was
Yeah.
introduced by none other than I am Tony Gonzalez. And he was joined out there by Roddy White, Todd McClure, Mr. Mud Duck, the most
Yeah.
recent inductee, Mr. Blank, and a few of the
Hmm.
other Ring of Honor members. But what a cool moment for him and his family. Gave a great speech. Like I said, he declared Atlanta his forever home, said that he will never have a job that will mean as much to him as being the quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. I thought that was pretty cool. Uh,
Yeah.
and then one thing, controversial. He thanked all the fans, all the members of the organization, everyone that meant so much and played an impact on him and his ability to achieve the things that he was able to achieve for 14 years as the signal caller.
Hmm.
But he specifically made the statement to all my teammates, including Julio Jones, who he then went on to say Julio would be next. Uh, I thought that was a very interesting phrasing because he didn't, I mean, he mentioned those that were on stage by name, right? He mentioned Roddy, he mentioned Todd, he mentioned Tony, but he played for 14 years. He played for a lot of coaches. He named all the coaches. He played with a lot of teammates. Hard to name them all, but he didn't name Devontae Freeman. He didn't name Michael Jenkins. He didn't
Yeah.
name uh, Michael Turner. He said to all my teammates, including Julio Jones. Why would that statement not already include Julio Jones?
Because he's the black sheep, man. He is he will be the prodigal son returned, right? I told you how I felt about him last week, maybe the week before that as well. I don't like the way he left. I said at the game, I hope he never gets in the ring of honor. I wouldn't be mad if Vic was at it before him, and I know his time is coming. Just based on statistics alone, the success he had in Atlanta, the lack of success he had anywhere else. I'm not gonna dog him too much, but he will get in. That's definitely why he said that because I'm not the only one that feels that way. I was jaded. This is a business. He made a business decision. I thought he could have went about it a little differently. Being I bought one of his jerseys, man. I'm a huge Julio fan, and I thought that the way he left was pretty disrespectful to the fan base. I don't care too much about the way. Yeah, look at that. How he did it for how he felt about Matt Ryan or how he felt about Arthur Blank and that whole situation. As for him to feel, but he definitely had fans that were rooting for him. And if you feel like a new location is going to be what's best for you in your career, obviously take that. But he didn't do that, man. He didn't do it graciously. I thought he was um, just mean, unnecessarily mean in his statements um, after his exit. And this is after they had basically set the team up to have Marcus Mariota for, 2 years based off giving him all that money, right? Rolling all those contracts back. So he said it like that because Julio did not leave in the good graces. I don't know if he's in the good graces now. Um, I'm sure eventually he will be in the Ring of Honor, but it made sense for him to say that.
For a man
He's
who
trying to get Julio back some love that he lost with his actions.
for a man who didn't say a whole lot when he was a player here, he sure had a lot to say on the way out. Now,
Yeah.
he definitely I think I said it last week or the week before, he definitely has the statistics, right? Like
Hmm.
he has the accolades that warrant a trip to the Ring of Honor, but I think it will be interesting to see on what timeline, if at all, right? I would bet that eventually he'll make it, but I think some relationships probably need to be mended. I don't know if him
Hmm.
and Arthur Blank have a sour relationship. I don't want to put those rumors out there, but like certainly it did not end on the best terms. And
It did not. It did not.
I don't know that Michael Vick really ever makes it into the Ring of Honor, right? He's been out of the league long enough that you would think he would be there.
No, he was the first prodigal son. Arthur Blank has all these prodigal sons, right? He actually called Michael Vick like a son to him. He wished him well when he was with the Eagles. And the reason I think he makes it into the Ring of Honor, he is back with the organization. Like he's in the intro videos. He was at games last year, right, on the screen. It's a matter of time. It would have been a slight, in my opinion, to put him in before Matt Ryan, right? You got the goat Falcon, in my opinion. Um, and Michael Vick did go somewhere else and have some success. I don't think he would have chose that. He didn't really have an option. He had to take what he could get, and I'm glad he was successful in Philly. But I think it's a foregone conclusion that he's in now. If that relationship seems to have mended. If he's in the marketing materials for the Falcons, I would think that he's going to end up being in the Ring of Honor because he has a lot of statistics for the Falcons as well.
Yeah, I definitely think that relationship has been restored, and I feel like he's been around. And maybe my timeline is off, but I feel like he's been back with the organization for several years now in terms of just Arthur Blank publicly giving him love and the city giving him support. But it would be weird just given this particular timeline now that Matt Ryan, retired, for him to go before Matt for all the reasons that you just mentioned. But I'm still shocked that it didn't happen earlier. And the other one, and we can end on this if you want, or we can continue the discussion. But Tony Gonzalez, right? Like I understand
Yeah.
he had a lot of success in KC before coming to the Falcons, but he had a ton of success here in Atlanta, and he had a pretty decent career here. I mean, he was up there introducing Matt Ryan. He's in the Hall of Fame. Like, what are they waiting for?
Yeah. I think they're waiting on, and I do think we had to end it after this just based on battery life. But I'll tell you I've seen 4 Ring of Honor inductions since I've been a season ticket holder when they opened the bins. 5. Um, Todd McClure, Warwick Dunn, Roddy White. Warwick is, I mean, he's done a lot of things with the organization after his career. He was one of those split players, like he had a lot of good years in Tampa. Since then, it's been Arthur Blank and Matt Ryan. I wouldn't put Michael Vick in before any of those guys. I mean, they had to rectify some things, right? And I think that's on both sides. I don't think that's just on him to do. Right. I think there was some love lost from both sides, and they had a come to Jesus moment. Right. And Tony Gonzalez, I would think he's after as well, just because he had some great years here for sure. But his years in Kansas City, actually, I feel like when we looked at it at one point, like way before podcast times, looking at his KC numbers versus Falcons numbers, and they're actually fairly close. But I think KC won out, and they didn't win. There wasn't like a milestone. Well, it wasn't a milestone victory for Tony Gonzalez here. He had some really good years, and we had some solid playoff wins, but we never really got it over the hump with him here.
Some pretty milestone heartbreaks while he was here. That's
That
for
San
sure.
Francisco is right up there. You know, that was a crazy moment there, man. Thought that was
Yeah.
locked up. Referees hating on the city of Atlanta,
All
but
right, so
you know,
put them in order then. Who's next? If you believe they're gonna get in, right? You got Michael Vick, you got Julio Jones, and you got Tony Gonzalez. Who gets in when? In what order?
honestly, because he has a relationship with the Falcons now, I would say Mike Vick, then Julio, then Tony G. Or I mean, I don't know where Julio Jones is, right? You said it so eloquently. Like, for a guy who he didn't do any interviews, you never heard anything about Julio Jones. You still haven't seen him, right? Like on the pivot or I am an athlete. He hasn't been on any podcast, but when he left, when he was on ESPN, those were the most words he had said, and they were all like, "Hey, f these guys, man. I don't care nothing about it."
Wasn't it?
That's how I received it. I
Wasn't
don't actually remember what he said specifically anymore, but
wasn't it
I
like
was just so mad at it.
leaked audio from a phone call too? Right? It wasn't even him directly saying it. Like you hear the
Yeah, no,
audio.
he was saying it to somebody.
Right, but it was leaked
Yeah,
audio. It was a conversation he did in full confidence and it went public. Yeah.
yeah. But then he didn't back off of it. They asked him about it
Oh yeah, you
on
got
an
to own
interview. He
it.
didn't back off.
You got to
Yeah,
own
yeah,
it
he
at
owned
that
it. No, man, say you made a mistake. Like you were mad. You know what I mean?
point. Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I feel
Come on
like
now.
I was going to say I feel like just because the Hall of Fame, I feel like Tony should be next, right? Like you're a Hall of Famer. Like how are you not in your team's Ring of Honor already? And then maybe Julio and Michael Vick. I would probably say Vic first, just because you still have some relationships to mend. But you are probably
Yeah,
right. It's probably going to be Vic next. We'll see. Matt Ryan obviously believes the next one is Julio, so we'll be on
yeah,
the lookout for that.
yeah. So on the next episode, man, we would where I thought you were going with that quote was Kirk Cousins, because he is also now an official HE alien doing an interview outside of Waffle House, hitting the swag serve, hitting it. You like that? Shout out to Kurt, his 509 breaking Matt Ryan's single game record. Man, I'm happy that we did it. You got all these people coming out the woodworks now talking about, yeah, that's why he gets 50 million a year. Like, you know how mad you were when we signed him. How the tables have turned. It is nice to have a real quarterback back there for the first time in many moons, man.
I will say, for a guy who has been historically labeled as a no-show in primetime games, I mean, the Falcons have done their thing 2 out of 3. I mean, really, we got, in your words, cheated out of the third victory, but
Yeah,
we're 2-1 in primetime games under the helm of Kirk Cousins. Now, they haven't always been pretty. They haven't always been massive statistical games, but they've been enough to get the dub, and that's really all that matters. So, yeah, I think it's interesting for a guy who has that reputation of disappearing in primetime games. Good for him. And I'm
he
happy to
actually
have
broke
him
the
here.
streak a while ago against one of our hated rivals. If you remember the miracle
Oh,
on
yeah.
whatever street, when he threw that to it was Stephon Diggs was still there, so that tell you how long it was ago. But to defeat the Saints at the last seconds of the playoff game, man, that was nice. So Yeah, I think he's broken that. That's a misnomer now. It's just people hating.
I know the quote unquote streak had been broken, but his record still in primetime games was pretty poor. I believe going into this year, and so he still kind of carries a little bit of that hate. But you like that. You like that.
Yeah, he's now 4-10. So hey, we'll take the two of those 4 wins, man.
Hey
But
man, he's increased his win total by 50% or
yes, sir.
two
Yes,
hundred
sir.
percent, 100%. It's
Hundred
late.
percent. 100%. That's the number.
I promise I'm better at
But
math than
man,
that.
we gotta shut it down for this computer dies on me, man. This is a very fun episode to talk about. What an incredible game, man, and rise up the rest of the season. Hawks on the forecast. We'll be talking about the Hawks soon. Preseason starts this season, so preseason starts this week. So like, subscribe, comment. Um, who do you think is the next Ring of Honor Falcons member? Falcons Ring of Honor member. Shout out to us, man. We can debate that.
Yeah, hit us up on the gram. Hit us up on TikTok. We have those now.
Yep.
Hit that notification bell. I appreciate all the love and support, man. We have been able to get our followers up a little bit. So let's just continue that momentum. I'm honestly glad to finally put the Braves to bed and be able to talk about something more exciting, like the
Yeah.
Dirty Birds rising up. So yeah, I'm excited for what's to come, and I appreciate all y'all listening and staying tuned. Have a
All
good
right. We'll
night.
catch you on the next one. Have a good one.
Peace.